Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the Neca Universal Monsters Neca Crypt Club 4-pack. This contains Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the creature from Black Lagoon. It also has a red coffin. Now these are Burger King Universal Monster Toy homage figures, sort of an updated great Neca sculpt with sort of a crappy Burger King paint job. Originally, these were offered as loot crates, and I wasn't aware they were doing that at first, so I missed out on the first one, Frankenstein. But I got the other loot crate ones, so I'm going to be able to compare and see if there's any differences. Now, the only item here you couldn't get with the loot crate sets is this red Dracula's coffin. This is a Neca store exclusive. Funny little story about this item. So I pre-ordered this a long time ago, and with the Neca store, sometimes they tell you when stuff ships, sometimes they don't. This guy arrived, had my name on it, and it was around Christmas time. I never got a shipping notification, so I just assumed it was something I ordered for somebody else, and I threw in a big pile of hidden gifts. Christmas Eve or the day before, my wife's wrapping gifts. She finds this. Obviously, it's for me. I didn't know it was here. She didn't know that I didn't know it was here. She wrapped it up, put it under the tree, and gave me this big giant gift the next day, and it was pretty damn funny. So let's take a look at the packaging. And this is a super tall package. Universal Monsters, action figures, and Dracula's coffin. Here are the four of them in the package. They have, really, honestly, the figures, they look kind of bad. They have bad paint jobs. That's sort of the point. They're supposed to be retro homage, crappy fast food toy figures with the Neca sculpt. One side of the package, you can see all four of the different monsters. Other side, same thing. At the back, Neca Crypt Club. And they all have interesting names. Skips and Fun, Universal Monsters, the Wolfman, Cellar Dweller, Scaly and Scary, Creature from Black Lagoon, Bolts and Volts Frankenstein, Down for the Count Dracula. At the bottom, there is a barcode if that helps. So with no further ado, let's open it up. Alright, now that these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. They really don't come with very many accessories. We've got Dracula's coffin, which is probably the main pull of the set. Dracula himself has a removable cape, and then between the four figures, there's one small measly display stand, which is a very odd decision. Before taking a look at all that, let's talk about and check out the figures. So these are Neca Universal Monster figures. Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. But these are based off old Burger King Universal Monster toys. They're sort of old homages to that. Now to make things more knowing about the set, each of these figures was previously released in a loot crate. You could buy the entire crate, get some collectibles, and an exclusive variant of the Universal Monster figures. Now, I didn't know about these loot crates at first, and I don't really know how I don't know, because I follow the Foosh forums, I follow Instagram, Neca, tons of different toy people on Instagram. I don't see how I wasn't aware of this. So I missed the first loot crate, which was Frankenstein. I got the other three, and I'm happy to have them, as I have a complete Universal Monster collection. But I was missing that guy, and even though these figures are kind of crappy, they're really, really expensive on the secondary market. But finally, I have that sort of transparent Frankenstein figure. Now, in turn, if you'd got all the loot crate figures, you would have all these guys, but you wouldn't have the red Dracula coffin, which I've seen some people very frustrated about. Which is understandable. As a completionist myself, it's very frustrating when you have every single thing, and then they release something that contains everything you already have, except one exclusive item. I can live without the extra loot crate stuff, like a t-shirt, little buttons, tote bag, whatever. I just wanted the figures, and Dracula's coffin is an accessory for your figures. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures individually. We'll check out their lack of accessories, height, and articulation. We'll compare them with a bunch of other Universal Monster figures. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. And let's start off with Frankenstein, which was the first release in Neca's Universal Monster line. Before we look at Frankenstein, let's take a look at this lone display stand. It is so weird that they include one display stand in a pack of 4 figures. First of all, these are some of the worst display stands I've ever seen. They're very small, which can sort of be a good thing, because I'm not a fan of display stands. I think they ruin the aesthetic of the display. Still, something smaller might be nice. But you have 4 figures, and you got this one measly little stand. What an odd decision, Neca. And so here's Frankenstein. It's a very odd color choice. Semi-transparent Frankenstein. He's not glow in the dark, but he does look pretty cool in black light, and we'll check that out in a moment. In the meantime, let's take a look at this figure. It is going to be 100% the same sculpt and mold as the regular version, but of course, it's cast in different kind of plastic. Semi-transparent green, to be exact. It looks really weird. You can still see the bolts of the neck. Those are done in silver. He's got a big, stiff, bulky torso. He's got a green sports jacket. Black shirt underneath. Looks like single jointed elbow. There's that transparent skin again. Big, giant Frankenstein clobbering boots. Looks like single jointed knees as well. A little bit more of the same. It's a big, bulky figure, and I like it. But this is the, I don't know, 3rd or 4th, or maybe even 5th variation of Frankenstein. He's the only one that I don't have the Loot Crate version to compare him to, but I expect he's exactly the same like the others. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, and honestly, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on here. I mean, sure, I can see his eyes, nose, and mouth, but a lot of the details are sort of lost because of the weird looking plastic. Now to see how he looks under black light. Typically, semi-transparent plastic reacts to black light in a really cool way. So here he is, in a fully lit room, no black light. Take my trusty blacklight flashlight and shine it on him, and you can see how his skin is just glowing. On camera it looks green, in person it looks blue. Here he is under black light in a semi-lit room, and then under black light in a completely dark room. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing about 7.9, almost 8 inches tall, which can translate to about 20 centimeters. Pretty tall figure, as Frankenstein should be. And for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, going to rotate side to side. He can look up and down a very good amount. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint goes about 90 degrees. Up, down, around. He's got single jointed elbow, goes on a little bit more than 90 degrees with rotation. His wrists can rotate, and it's hinged. Torso is one solid piece, ball joint in the waist, rotate around, forward and back. Legs, almost complete as splits, ball joints. The leg can rotate independently of the ball. They go forward, not that much. Back, not at all. Single jointed knee with rotation again. And his ankle goes forward and back the tiniest bit. Tilts rock. No rotation. That's in the knee. Here's a look at this Crypt Club Frankenstein next to the original release. I believe this is the first figure to kick off Neca's Universal Monsters line. You can see the detail quite a bit more in the painted one for obvious reasons, and they are 100% the same sculpt. Neca made 3 versions of him, black and white, color, and glow in the dark. Now we have the transparent version. They also made a version from the Bride of Frankenstein. And here, with the 4 Horsemen, figure obscura, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Next, with the McFarlane DC Multiverse, DC Comics Frankenstein. And now, next to Herman from the Munsters, which was based off Frankenstein. And here, next to a couple of Raphael as Frankenstein figures. And finally, next to a couple of Bride of Frankenstein figures. Now it's like a Dracula. He comes with a red coffin, which is the only thing unique about this entire set. So, Dracula, and honestly, he looks stupid. Look at those fangs. But the whole point is, he's based off an old, retro fast food toy, and they're trying to use this excellent Neca sculpt with a really crappy paint job to sort of make it an homage. And it looks goofy, dumb, but there's a charm in that as well. The rest of the body has excellent sculpt and paint job. Skin, a little bit of a yellowish tint to it. It's just a stupid buck teeth look so bad. He's got a magnificent cloth soft goods cape. Has a sort of plastic little clamp here. Take it off very easily. Could use it on another figure. Very nice. Single jointed elbow. Single jointed knee. Nice suited body. Medallion on the neck. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, which looks good, except, my god, those teeth. Then we have his coffin. Large 7-inch scale coffin. At the top, we have a little bat logo. It says Dracula. This stuff is sculpted on. Opens, and you can fit your 7-inch scale figures inside. It's got little handles here that have articulation. You can actually have figures holding them. If you really wanted to have 4 figures on either side, that could be pretty cool. It's a nice accessory, and I appreciate that it's different from the original one. And speaking of the original one, here it is. This came with the Dracula accessory set, and it doesn't have any of the sculpted stuff on top. A lot more basic and plain. Same articulation on the handles. Opens up, just the same. Cool to have more coffins for the collection. And speaking of coffins for the collection, here are all my coffins. This one came with a third party. I think it was Sir Toys, the Batman Who Laughs. This is the Dracula from this Crypt Club pack. This is from the Neca accessory set. And this is from sort of a random action figure accessory thing. Came with a bunch of weapons and blood splatter effects, that sort of stuff. Here's a look at Dracula, fitting very spaciously inside this coffin. And now for his height. From bottom to the top of his head, about 7.2 inches tall, which can translate to 18 centimeters. And for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, you can rotate side to side. He can look up and down about that much. He does have articulation both at the top and bottom of the neck. You can tilt his head from side to side. Shoulders, ball joint, goes out less than 90 degrees, up, down, around. Single jointed elbow with rotation. The wrist can rotate, and it's hinged. Ball joint is torso, or waist rather. Rotate around, forward and back. Legs, almost complete as the splits. Ball joints can rotate independently against the ball. They go forward, about that far. Back not much. Single jointed knee with rotation, and the ankle. Forward and back the tiniest bit. Rotate, not really. Tilt rock, also the tiniest bit. Here's this Crypt Club 4-pack Dracula on the left, next to the Loot Crate version on the right. Frankenstein was the only one I didn't have the Loot Crate version of, and these are pretty much the exact same. They both have this sort of crappy looking face, buck teeth, paint job, skin color is just slightly different. Essentially, it's the exact same figure. Here he is, next to the original color version of Dracula. And just like Frankenstein, they made 4 different versions. Black and white, Loot Crate, regular color, and glow in the dark. Then, with the Christopher Lee version of Dracula. And now, with Neca's The Count from the Munsters, which is sort of a version of Dracula. And finally, with a couple of Marvel Legends Dracula figures. And for the Wolfman, he has this kind of ridiculous, almost orange fur paint job. Well, you know what they say, orange cats and dogs are some of the wildest ones. So, looking at his face, like I said, the paint job is just kind of weird. He's got the little dark nose, orange or brown hair, kind of odd flesh color there on the front. Eyebrows look pretty weird too. The suit is like a, I don't know, green brown type color. Looks like sort of a mechanic suit, at least with this paint job. Single jointed elbow, single jointed knee, bare feet. See the little toes, toenails. We've seen this guy 2 or 3 times before already. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. It looks kind of cute. It's like a teddy bear, like the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz. Doesn't look like a scary wolfman. And now for his height. from bottom to the top of his head, about 7.2 inches tall, 7.3, which can translate to just over 18 centimeters. And his articulation. Start with his head. Can rotate side to side. He can look up and down that much. Once again, articulation at the top and bottom of the neck. Tilt his head at least a little bit from side to side. Shoulders, ball joint, less than 90 degrees. Up, down, around. Single jointed elbow goes in more than 90 degrees with rotation. The wrists can rotate, and they're hinged as well. Torso is one solid piece. Ball joint in the waist, rotate around, forward and back barely at all. Legs complete with splits, ball joints. Rotations minimum. They go forward about that much. Back not at all. Single jointed knee with a rotation. And his ankle forward and back. Tilt, rock. There is rotation here where you can swap out the leg for the human parts that he does not come with. Here's his Crypt Club Wolfman next to the Loot Crate version. It's 100% the same figure. I see, I don't know, maybe a little bit more orange in the Loot Crate one than this one. Just a hair. Here he is next to the regular color version of the Wolfman. You can actually see what his outfit is supposed to look like. Now, the original one had interchangeable parts to turn him into a human and the Wolfman. The Loot Crate and Crypt Club versions do not. And just like the previous couple of figures, they released 4 versions of this Wolfman. Black and white, Loot Crate, color, and glow in the dark. Here he is with a couple of Raphael as the Wolfman, Universal Monster, Ninja Turtle crossover figures. And finally, next to another Neca werewolf figure. And here's the creature from the Black Lagoon. He's semi-transparent, which is kind of cool for him. He's a very tall figure, a lot larger than the other ones, maybe even taller than Frankenstein. And he looks really nice. This is one of my favorite figures in the line. I always like the creature from the Black Lagoon. A little bit more of an obscure monster compared to like Dracula and Frankenstein. Gillman. Look at the little sort of gills on the side. Glowing eyes. Fish-looking mouth and head. Nice texture all over the body. Scales. I really like it. Webbed fingers and feet. Single jointed elbow, single jointed knee. It looks good. It looks like it's like shiny, wet. The semi-transparent I think is really cool for sort of a water type creature. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, which I think is really cool. It's kind of weird, freaky, grotesque, man-fish hybrid type thing. And I wanted to hit this guy up with a black light as well. Shine on him. You can see sort of green, blue glow. And here, in a semi-lit room. And here, in a completely dark room. And for his height, he's pretty tall. Standing about 8.1 inches tall, which can translate to 20.5 centimeters. Then his articulation. His head rotates around. Looks up and down like that. Tilt his head. Shoulders on a ball joint goes out more than 90 degrees. Very nice. Looks like he actually has double jointed elbows. And it has rotation both at the top and the bottom of those joints. Wrist can rotate. It's also hinged. Ball joint is torso. Rotate around, forward and back. Another one is waist. Rotate around, forward and back. He's got way more articulation than the other figures in this line. Legs complete as a splits. Ball joints again. Rotation is excellent. They go forward, not that much. Back, not at all. Double jointed knees. There's rotation up there as well. The ankles, forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock. Much better articulation on this guy than any of the others. Here's the Crypt Club creature next to the Loot Crate version. Exactly the same figure. And here, next to the regular version, which is a fantastic figure. They both are. And just like the other ones, you got the black and white, Loot Crate, color, and glow-in-the-dark treatments. Next, with a couple of Leonardo-esque Creature from the Black Lagoon, Ninja Turtle, Universal Monster crossover figures. So overall, it's a cool but goofy and niche action figure 4-pack. It is completely unnecessary. I personally have no attachment to the Burger King toys. I don't recall them as a kid. I've seen pictures of them, and they're pretty crappy, but, you know, that's part of the charm. I only really got these because I'm a completist as far as the Neca Universal Monsters line. I have every single figure, every single variation, etc. And I missed the Frankenstein loot crate, even though I did get the other 3 loot crates, and that makes this set even more sort of unappealing to me. But, to tell you the truth, the price of the set, even though it's not cheap, is cheaper than getting the loot crate Frankenstein on the secondary market. That is ridiculously overpriced, and I think they probably all are. It really feels like sort of a cash grab by Neca. Those that were loyal and got all the loot crates probably are pretty pissed off because it's the only way to get this little coffin, if that's really what you want. Now, if you skipped all the loot crates and got this set, you really have all the action figure type stuff that you would have got with the loot crates. So, if I had known this was coming out, I never would have bought those loot crates. I wasted a bunch of money on them. They were not cheap. You get all this extra stuff that I didn't really need. I mean, sure, the t-shirts are kind of cool, but I don't need a freaking tote bag or little pins for my shirts and stuff. And in addition to that, loot crate is designed to sort of fuck you over, and I ended up with 2, I think, of the creature and maybe the wolfman sets because they sort of auto-subscribe, and I didn't realize that. And so I bought the second one and just kept going and going. I even got a loot crate afterwards with no action figure that I didn't want and wasted even more money on that. So, never been impressed with loot crates practices. That was even before Neca bought them. They did that stupid crap. And this is a cash grab and is sort of a slap in the face to the people that were super loyal to this line and got every single thing leading up to this point. Still, it's a cool set. Goofy nonetheless. Creature's definitely my favorite of the 4. Probably then Frank. I guess then Wolfman and Dracula. Just those teeth look so dumb. And the coffin, it's a very strong red color, so it's not exactly going to be able to be used as a regular coffin in a cemetery, but I'm sure I can find some use for it over time. It's an okay set. I'm happy to check my list, but honestly, I kind of wish none of these figures existed because they don't really do that much for me. I prefer the Remco homages. Even those don't do much for me, but I guess that's the price of being a completionist. Anyway, I'm actually happy to have this because it gets this Frankenstein off my list that I've been eyeballing on the secondary market for a long time and just wasn't willing to pull the trigger. So, overall the set, probably like a 6 out of 10. I do really like that creature though. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.